This is the Kitchen Sink WP podcast, episode 474.
I program my own computer.
We have a server crash, 404 error, page not found, links aren't working, system is crashing, system is crashing, system is crashing.
Your old HTML website, barely alive. We have the technology. We have WordPress. A new website, better than it was before. Better, stronger, faster. Why, hello everybody, this is Adam Silver, the host of the Kitchen Sink WP podcast. Thanks for being here. Let's get started. All right, upcoming events, kind of excited. There are two next weekend. WordCamp Switzerland, March 31st through April 1st, 2-day camp, and WordCamp Bogotá out in Colombia, same dates, March 31st through April 1st. And real quick notice, I didn't look at the Bogotá one, but Switzerland is in multi-languages, English, French, German. Pretty cool. And it's about an hour and a half from Zurich, as well as from a couple other cities. Bern, I was looking to see it. Pretty cool. I've been to Switzerland, never been to Bogotá, never been to WordCamp Switzerland, but nonetheless. Anyway, if you're in the areas, by all means, go. So there's that. All right, moving on, segment one in the news. GiveWP is pleased to announce that its first Give-Back-a-Thon is going to be happening. So they're partnering with 3 design agencies. It's going to be happening on, I believe, April 23rd. There's a landing page for it. There's been a press release. I'll put a link in the show notes. It's over at givewp.com/give-back-a-thon. And so check that out. So they're going to be giving, I guess, 3 brand new websites to some nonprofits. So that's that press release. There's a short version of it. Link in the show notes as well. Also in the news, WPExperts has acquired Change WP Admin Login Plugin. So that's kind of interesting. And also, WordPress 6.2 release candidate 3 has been released. It's on track to be released 6.2 completely for this coming week, actually the 27th of the, maybe the day this episode drops, if I'm not mistaken. So there's that. So by the time you hear this, RC3 might be history already. So check that out if you want. All right, moving on to the meat potatoes of this week's episode. We're talking about local. As I mentioned a few weeks back, I finally exported and backed up all the sites I had when I was using desktop server. It saddened me, but it had to be done. I mentioned that I had tried local way back when. I was going to try it again and share that experience. So I did. And here is the 20,000 foot view. I kind of dove in. I looked at my notes here and I have quite a bit to share, but nonetheless, here we go. So first of all, headed over to localwp.com. I have an option to create an account or download the free. I chose the download free. It asked for my email, probably to market to me. So I'm not going to say I did or did not give a real email address, but I got the file, opened it, copied it to my applications folder. I'm running on a Macintosh, by the way, so it's just a drag and drop. Probably the same thing on a PC or Windows. I don't know exactly. I agreed to the updated terms of service. As a side note, I was curious on something. I did a test. I took all those terms of service over to ChatGPT, pasted it in there, and so I pasted in 1,386 words and asked for a summary. I got back 150 words. So perhaps legal departments could look into being more brief with their terms and service, because otherwise it's TLDR, right? Too long, didn't read it. Nobody reads that stuff. I digress. All right, pressing on, onward and upward. Floating window, when you launch the application after you pass that, terms and service, you have another option for create free account. Under those options, you have, if you do create a free account, apparently you get some more tools. For example, cloud backups, live links, instant reload add-on, and link checker. So I did not opt for that at all, not yet at least. I clicked the X on the top right corner to close that window, and then it asks if it's okay for error reports to be turned on and usage reporting, which it sends feedback back to the company. I passed on both of those for right now. And finally, now I'm at the main interface. Mind you, this did not take that long to do, less than 2 minutes probably. At the main interface, floating window with some icons on the left side. If you hover over those, you get the little tooltips. You get profile login, site, connect, blueprints, add-ons, and support. And as I wanted to start with a brand new WordPress local project for this test, I went back to that second icon. I clicked create new site. An option came up. I created a new, you have options there for create new, create from blueprint, or select existing zip, like import an exported file. We'll get to that in a minute here. So I start off with creating a new site. The next window, you give it a name. You also have an option to see advanced options where you could change the local extension, the .local, and the path of where it saves. I left those alone. In the next window, you get to choose your environment, preferred or custom. The preferred is currently PHP version 8.1.9 with Nginx and MySQL 8.0.16. The custom options gives you a bunch more control in the versions of PHP and MySQL, as well as Apache over Nginx. On this case, I went with preferred. Next window is set up WordPress. You give your username and password and an email address for which the account will be tied to. You also have some advanced options here for WordPress multi-site yes, no, and if yes, subdomain or subdirectory, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that's what it was. I pressed install and the site was spun up in about 25-30 seconds tops. Once the site's created, I see it in the dashboard there of LocalWP, and you have 3 tabs showing overview, database, and tools. If you want to change the web server or PHP version, you still can, which is kind of cool. There's also an option to turn on one-click admin, which allows for auto login as the admin, for which I will say desktop server was way early on that. I think they had that. It was one of my favorite features back in the day. Very cool there as well, but a little hiccup on that. I will get back to that in a minute. There's also a start-stop in the top right corner, so you can shut it down, the local server, and stopping it and starting it. It's quick. You hit stop, refresh the site, it's gone. Hit start, refresh the site, it's back. It's really fast, so that's kind of nice. Clicking into the site, front end and back end, it's very snappy, which I can say is good to see, because I do recall early versions of Local were not this fast by any stretch. I'm not sure what the tech they were using, the stack. I think it was it a Docker? I think it might have been Docker. I'm not sure what it is now, but I remember it was kind of sluggish. I wasn't so impressed at all. Looking at the setting in the database, I can see it's a standard in the dashboard, not the database. In the dashboard, it's a standard clean install, the latest version of WordPress, nothing extra whatsoever. So once you set the site up as you might want, adding plugins and themes, you can then right-click the list of the local sites and you see more options. There's no way of knowing this, actually. I just kind of got lucky that I right-clicked and I see the options for open site, admin dashboard, go to site folder, open site shell, restart, stop, clone site, export, save as blueprints, move to another group. We'll get to that in a minute. Change domain, rename, and delete. So I wanted to test a few of those things. First being open shell site. And I'm guessing this would open up my terminal window, my terminal application, to give me access to like WP CLI. It didn't work. It errored out. And I Googled around a little bit and it showed in the documentation over at Local that there's a conflict with OS 10 version 13, but the fix is if you want to use a different terminal application like iTerm or something else. I didn't try that at the moment, but apparently there is a workaround because the issue is with Apple's terminal application itself for some reason. So I also wanted to check out the blueprint aspect of this. So I installed a few plugins, themes, saved it with a new name. I headed over to the blueprints and there it was. So you can see the details there as well. Pretty basic, pretty easy to do. Now I have 2 sites, by the way, and once you have more than one site, you get a notice saying you can have the option to create groups. So if you have groups of, clients, personal, whatever types of groups you want to put it into, e-commerce, learning management, whatever it may be, you can actually group those things out as well, which is pretty nice, actually. The last thing I wanted to test was the importing of a site from desktop server, one of my exports. So I pressed new site again. I picked the zip. In this case, it's a large file. It's about 240 megabytes. I chose preferred for the settings and imported it. And it didn't take too long. I was actually pleasantly surprised there too, maybe 90 seconds. Like I said, big file, big site. And then once it was done, the dashboard of LocalWP shows that in bold that I'm running an older version of WordPress core and suggests that I update it. So I didn't do that right away. I did open the site from the front end and I got the connection that this is not private, like the SSL didn't work. And there's a hiccup there as well. It's interesting. I tried to log into the dashboard with the auto log on. That didn't work. I did a password reset, but I'm wondering where is this going to go since it's running local. And luckily I did recall seeing that in the tools section of the main the dashboard, there was a way to see those emails locally so I can reset the password. So I know that's a lot to take in, but honestly, once it's set up, I did find it easy to use. It's fast, it's snappy, it stays out of the way as it should. I mean, realistically, it just needs to let me run a local version of WordPress. and it is way better than earlier versions for sure. So I have yet to test the pushing and pulling to WP Engine or Flywheel for this matter, or the add-ons, because those require a free account. And I just didn't feel like setting up a new account just for this right now. I may come back around to that again. I may do an update to this on a couple of those other features as well as Terminal and the add-ons as well. So wrapping things up here, will I use it? Yeah, probably will. How much? I'm not so sure, only because I have a live development server over on Cloudways. But if there's a chance that I'm not online and I want to work locally, yeah, I can definitely see this being a valid alternative to desktop server. It saddens me still because I'm such a fan of that team. They're friends of mine, but life goes on and you got to make changes, right? So you got to roll with the punches. All right, so there you have it. Check it out. It's over at localwp.com. Again, I have no connection to it. It's free. So there's nothing a lot you can really do here for you on that aspect of it. No discounts, no reason not to try it if you're looking to do some local development work. All right, that's it. All right, moving on. Segment 3, tip and tool of the week. This week, I want to remind you about my photo project over on Twitter. If you do a search for the hashtag KSWP_photo, all caps, you'll see what I'm doing. I've been doing it since June 1st last year. It ends this year on June 1st. I have something new coming out on that day as well, where I'm just sharing photos as they come up in my photo roll over the past 10 years of my attending WordCamps. And I'm sharing photos, tagging people with them on Twitter, if they're still on Twitter, some are not. And you can just kind of see them. People seem to enjoy them, and I'm enjoying sharing them. And it's kind of coming to the end of it. So June, we are in March, April, May. So only 2 months left to go. So there you go. All right, that's it. Just check it out. The link in the show notes as well. I'll link to that as well. So that's it for this week. If you have any questions, go ahead, send it in via email, adam@KitchensinkWP.com, or use the SpeakPipe function on the website. If you want to support the show, I would love that. You could become a Patreon. There's a link in the show notes as well. Actually on the website. You could become a sponsor. There's a form on the website. Thanks for listening. See you next week. Now go out and do some awesome things with WordPress. All right? Bye-bye. Oh, P.S. If you're still listening, I meant to mention this. I cleaned up adamsilver.com, where I offer business coaching and accountability. I now have a new coaching program, Small Biz Accelerator. It's for small cohorts, 5 to 7 people, looking to start May of this year. If you're interested, go to adamsilver.com. Check it out. If you want more information, email me, adam@adamsilver.com. All right, that's all.